Welcome to Golden Years Nutrition. Let me ask you a quick question. Do you ever feel like you're eating enough protein and exercising regularly, but your muscles still feel deflated, getting weaker every day? There's a shocking truth many people don't realize. After age 40, we lose about 8% of our muscle mass per decade, and that number accelerates to 15% after age 70. But here's the scariest part. Muscle loss, or sarcopenia, doesn't just reduce strength. According to a 2024 meta-analysis from the American Journal of Geriatrics, having senior health nutrition sarcopenia increases the risk of fatal falls by up to 300% for those over 65. This isn't just aging, it's a crisis of muscle loss that requires immediate attention and a plan for sarcopenia prevention. If you've experienced this, I want you to know you are certainly not alone. For years, we've been told that this is just a normal part of aging. But what if I told you that it doesn't have to be? My name is Frank Taylor. And at 68 years young, I've spent a lot of time thinking about these very questions. Now, I want to be clear. I am not a medical doctor or a geriatrician. My journey over the past decade has been a bit different. I've dedicated my retirement to being a sort of health detective for folks just like us. I spend my days digging into the latest clinical studies, and I want to emphasize that all the research I mention will always be linked in the description below every video, so you can check it for yourself. My goal is to take that complex scientific information and turn it into practical advice that we can actually use in our daily lives. And one of the most surprising truths I've found is this. The single most effective tool for sarcopenia prevention in seniors is often feared and misunderstood. It is creatine, a simple compound that acts like a muscle battery charger, not a drug. Before we dive deep, I have a quick question for you. Have you ever been warned that the supplement creatine is dangerous or bad for your kidneys? If you've been avoiding it because of fear, please type "scared" in the comments below. I read every one. In today's video, we are going to expose this fear and reveal how to stop senior health nutrition sarcopenia. Specifically, we will cover 3 key things. First, I'll explain the hidden root cause of muscle loss that most people overlook. It's not just about protein, it's about a muscle cell energy crisis. Second, we'll debunk the very common myth about creatine, the gym drug, and kidney damage that might actually be making your sarcopenia worse by keeping you away from this incredible sarcopenia prevention tool. And finally, I will share with you a simple, daily, safe, and cheap protocol, the 3-5-2 rule. You can use starting tomorrow to recharge your muscle batteries and immediately start feeling a difference in your strength. This simple, science-backed approach is the key to maintaining your independence for decades to come. Let's get started. The core problem: the muscle cell energy and anabolic crisis. So, let's start with what's really happening inside your body when you feel that persistent weakness, that inability to bounce back that defines senior health nutrition sarcopenia. For years, we've been told that we simply need to eat more protein. While protein is crucial, it is the building material after all. Relying solely on it is like bringing more bricks to a construction site when the power is completely out. The true root cause lies not in the lack of protein, but in the muscle's inability to generate and utilize energy efficiently. The decline of the power plant, mitochondrial dysfunction. The real issue is a cascading energy crisis happening at the microscopic level, inside the very structures of your muscle cells. Every cell in your body is powered by tiny organelles called mitochondria. These are the miniature power plants that convert fuel from the food you eat into ATP, adenosine triphosphate, the actual immediate energy currency your muscle fibers use to contract, lift, climb, and maintain posture. As we age, these power plants get tired and suffer from wear and tear due to decades of oxidative stress. Not only do they become less efficient at producing ATP, but the sheer density of mitochondria within the muscle cell begins to decrease. This is known as mitochondrial dysfunction. When your mitochondria fail, your muscle cell might be swimming in available protein, but it literally lacks the quick-burst energy, ATP, needed to successfully trigger the growth and repair process. This energy deficit leads directly to a condition called anabolic resistance, meaning your muscle is resistant, or deaf, to the anabolic building signals from protein and even exercise. The fuel, protein, sits uselessly in the tank because the ignition is faulty. This is why you feel weak and fatigued so quickly. Your engine is running on reserve power, even when you feel like you've been eating well. Metaphor number 1, the failed ignition system and frailty. To make this crystal clear, let's use an analogy. Imagine your muscle is a high-performance classic car. Protein is the premium gasoline. If you simply pump more gas, eat more protein, but your car's ignition system is failing due to worn-out mitochondria, you will never start the engine, let alone drive with confidence. You will stall out when you need power the most. This energy deficit creates a devastating cycle of muscle loss in seniors. The weaker your muscles are, the less active and more hesitant you become, and this reluctance further accelerates mitochondrial degradation, intensifying the weakness and critically increasing your risk of falls and injury. The difference between standing firm and suffering a life-changing hip fracture is often measured in milliseconds of ATP availability. So, the key to successfully reversing this decline and maximizing sarcopenia prevention is finding a way to recharge and bypass this faulty ignition system. We need a guaranteed direct source of short-burst energy that our tired muscle cells can tap into instantly. Here is an interactive question for you. Based on what we just discussed, do you think the solution lies in A, eating 100 gigases of extra protein a day, or B, finding a way to instantly boost the energy reserves inside your muscle cells? Let me know your answer in the comments. The correct answer leads us directly to the solution, which unfortunately too many people are avoiding because of a decades-old, baseless fear. Debunking the myth, creatine and the dangerous kidney scare. The solution to this hidden muscle energy crisis, the instant cellular battery charger, is surprisingly simple, incredibly inexpensive, and happens to be one of the most studied nutrients in the world. Yet, almost every senior seeking nutrition for elderly avoids it entirely. The mistake we need to expose right now is the widespread, fear-mongering myth that creatine monohydrate damages the kidneys. The fundamental confusion, creatine versus creatinine. This deeply held fear is rooted in a misunderstanding of two similar-sounding words: creatine, the amino acid-like supplement, and creatinine, the harmless waste product. It's a linguistic mix-up that has had enormous consequences for senior health. When you take creatine, your body naturally processes it for use in your muscles. During this metabolic process, a small, harmless waste product called creatinine is produced and filtered out by the kidneys. Doctors measure creatinine levels in the blood as a marker of kidney function. Here's the crux of the confusion. When you start supplementing creatine, your creatinine levels will naturally increase slightly because there is simply more creatine in your system being processed. This elevated reading is not a sign of kidney damage. It is simply an unavoidable, expected metabolic side effect of increasing your muscle mass and cellular energy stores. It's like putting a bigger, more powerful battery in your flashlight. The output naturally increases, but it doesn't mean your flashlight is broken. The scientific consensus: safety in older adults. I want to emphasize, as your health detective, that reputable science has comprehensively debunked this myth time and time again. The idea that creatine harms healthy kidneys has been thoroughly rejected by decades of clinical trials. A landmark review of clinical trials, published in the prestigious European Journal of Clinical Nutrition in 2022, systematically analyzed the effects of creatine supplementation on renal kidney function across different age groups, including older adults. Their conclusion was clear and definitive. Creatine supplementation, when taken at the recommended dosages, causes no negative effect on kidney function in healthy older individuals. Furthermore, other long-term studies suggest that by improving muscle mass and overall strength, creatine may actually support better metabolic health indirectly. This is a critical truth for senior health nutrition sarcopenia prevention. By avoiding creatine due to this outdated myth, you are actively sacrificing your strength and independence. You are missing out on the single most powerful, non-hormonal, over-the-counter tool we have today to fight muscle loss in seniors. Metaphor number 2, the muscle battery charger. If your muscle is the high-performance car with a broken ignition, then creatine is the portable battery charger that bypasses the ignition completely and gives the engine the immediate jolt of power it needs to fire up. Creatine works by quickly recharging the depleted ATP energy reserves inside your muscle cells. It is essentially stored, accessible power. This means that when you need a sudden burst of strength, whether it's stopping yourself from falling, lifting a grandchild, or pushing yourself out of a low chair, creatine is there, ready to fuel that immediate contraction. It's the fastest, most efficient way to get power back to those tired mitochondria. Now that we have established what the real problem is, energy deficit, and debunked the biggest fear, kidney damage, we can finally look at the correct solution and the simple, cheap protocol you can start using today. The true solution: creatine, the multi-tool for muscle and brain health. Now that we've put the myth of kidney damage to rest, which was always based on confusion, not chemistry, it's time to truly appreciate what creatine is: a bioenergetic powerhouse, and perhaps the most underrated nutritional supplement for senior health tips after 70. Creatine is not some complicated drug. It's a compound made naturally in our bodies, primarily from the amino acids glycine, arginine, and methionine. Roughly 95% of our body's creatine stores are found right where we need them most, in our skeletal muscle. For the nutrition for elderly and for sarcopenia prevention, creatine acts as a multi-tool, addressing not only the energy crisis we discussed, but also directly impacting muscle quality and even brain function. The bioenergetic mechanism: rapid ATP recycling. Let's quickly revisit the energy problem. Your muscle needs ATP, adenosine triphosphate, for immediate power. When you stand up quickly or lift something heavy, you burn through your ATP stores in milliseconds. Normally, the tired mitochondria struggle to keep up. Creatine, once supplemented, is stored in your muscles as phosphocreatine, PC. Think of PCR as the emergency reserve fund for your energy. Here is the magic. When ATP is spent and converts to ADP, adenosine diphosphate, the phosphocreatine immediately donates its phosphate group back to the ADP, instantaneously creating a fresh molecule of ATP. This process is faster than any other energy system in the body. By increasing your PCR stores through supplementation, you are essentially creating a massive, rapid-fire safety net. You increase the total energy capacity of your muscle cell, meaning you have more stamina for high-intensity, short-duration tasks, like avoiding a fall, carrying groceries, or walking up a flight of stairs without needing to pause halfway. This is the real, tangible impact of senior health nutrition sarcopenia prevention, beyond muscle, the cognitive edge. But creatine's benefits extend far beyond muscle and physical strength. This is a crucial senior health secret that often gets ignored by the fitness community. Your brain, believe it or not, is one of the most metabolically demanding organs in your body. It relies heavily on a constant supply of ATP. Research shows that creatine, being stored in the brain as well, plays a direct role in neuronal energy homeostasis. What does this mean for you? Studies have demonstrated that creatine supplementation can significantly improve short-term memory, making it easier to recall names or where you put your keys. Reasoning skills, enhancing the speed at which your brain processes information. Reduced mental fatigue. You stay sharp and focused for longer periods, a critical element of overall senior health. For the elderly, maintaining cognitive function and physical strength simultaneously is the ultimate goal. Creatine is one of the rare nutrients that serves both masters, making it invaluable for anyone focused on senior health nutrition, sarcopenia prevention. Safety reaffirmation, a nutrient, not a drug. Let's take one last moment to address the fear of long-term use. Creatine is arguably the most researched performance-enhancing nutrient in history. It is not a steroid. It is naturally occurring in foods like meat and fish. The research confirms its safety profile not just in young athletes, but specifically in the nutrition for elderly. Remember the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition study? Their findings were consistent. Long-term, low-dose supplementation is a safe and effective strategy for combating the age-related decline in muscle mass and strength, particularly when combined with resistance training. So we have a scientifically proven, multi-benefit nutrient that addresses the core energy problem, fights muscle wasting, and boosts the brain. The only thing left is knowing exactly how to use it. The practical application. Frank Taylor's 3-5-2 rule. Knowledge is powerful, but only when we put it into action. I don't want you to feel overwhelmed by the science we just covered. My goal is to distill this complex information into practical advice that is easy to do, cheap, and effective. Here is the simple daily protocol you can start with tomorrow. I call it the 3-5-2 rule for sarcopenia prevention. On the product choice, simple and cheap, monohydrate. First, forget the expensive fancy liquid, buffered, or ethyl ester forms of creatine. They are unnecessary and often untested. The recommendation: always choose creatine monohydrate. Why? It is the original, cheapest, and most clinically studied form available. All the powerful research we cited on senior health and safety was performed using basic monohydrate. Cost: a large tub can often last you 6 months or more, making it one of the most affordable tools for fighting senior health nutrition sarcopenia. 2. The dosage, the 3 to 5 gram sweet spot. We are not training for a marathon here. We are aiming for saturation and long-term health. You do not need the traditional high-dose loading phase that bodybuilders use. The rule: take 3 to 5 grams g of creatine monohydrate every single day. Consistency is key. The most important factor is taking it daily, even on rest days. Think of it like a vitamin. It needs consistent intake to keep your muscle battery fully charged. Safety note: starting with 3 grams is perfectly fine. If you tolerate it well after a week, you can increase it to the optimal 5 grams. This is the ideal dosage for nutrition for elderly to see real strength gains without any digestive discomfort. 3. The timing and combination, the 2 rule for uptake. This is where you maximize the efficiency of your creatine intake. Creatine absorption into the muscle cells is significantly enhanced by the presence of insulin. The rule: take your 3-5 grams of creatine with a meal that contains protein and carbohydrates. The best time. The best time is often right after a small workout or simply with your breakfast. Do not take it on an empty stomach with just water, as this reduces the uptake efficiency. Practical application: combining with high-protein foods. You need to combine your creatine with a source of both protein and simple carbs to trigger the insulin response needed for shuttling the creatine into your muscle cells. This creates the perfect anabolic environment to combat senior health nutrition sarcopenia. Example 1. Breakfast. Mix 5g of creatine into your coffee along with a serving of Greek yogurt, high protein, and a small piece of fruit like a banana, carbohydrate. Example 2. Post-lunch/snack. Mix 5g of creatine into a glass of orange juice, carbohydrate, and have it alongside a handful of nuts or a scoop of cottage cheese, high-protein foods. Remember, this is the simple, safe, and effective plan that science recommends. By adopting this 3-5-2 rule, you are giving your muscle cells the vital energy backup they need to stay strong, healthy, and resilient against frailty and falls. You are taking back control over your strength and independence.
Conclusion. So, let's quickly recap the surprising truths we uncovered today about senior health nutrition sarcopenia. We pulled back the curtain and learned that persistent muscle weakness is fundamentally an energy crisis inside the muscle cell, not just a simple protein deficiency. We emphatically debunked the dangerous, decades-old myth that creatine harms the kidneys, showing it's a simple confusion between the supplement and a waste product. And most importantly, we discovered the scientifically proven truth. Creatine monohydrate is a safe, cheap, and profoundly effective tool to recharge your muscle battery, fight sarcopenia prevention, and boost your cognitive sharpness. The 14-day challenge. The knowledge is now yours. The next D is action, and that requires commitment. I'm issuing you a challenge. For the next 14 days, I want you to try the 3-5-2 rule we outlined today. Just 3 to 5 grams of monohydrate daily, taken consistently with protein and carbohydrates. Don't worry about being perfect, just be consistent. I want you to pay attention to your body. Notice the energy you have when you stand up from a chair, the clarity of your mind during your afternoon slump, and how much easier it is to carry heavy items like groceries. This small, consistent action is how we take back control over our strength and independence. Remember, building strength in your golden years is a journey, not a destination. It's about making small, consistent choices that compound over time. I would love to hear from you. What is the single biggest change you are committing to making, your one thing, after watching this video? Please share it in the comments below. I read every one. If you found this information helpful, please click the thumbs up button, share it with a friend or family member who might benefit, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss Frank Taylor's future health investigations. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.